we start the video, Al, Christine, and I have big news. We started a new channel called Fitness Under Fire. It's linked up top and down below. This channel will have heated debates for current and controversial fitness topics. So be sure to subscribe, check it out, and hit that bell notification. See you there. Hey, it's Kat here with xtraOrdinary Athletes, here helping you fit fitness even to the busiest of lives.
So do us a big favor, crush that like button, remember to subscribe, and check out some of our other videos that are part of this playlist.
For today, we want to talk about a topic that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and that's the fears that are associated with getting started out in fitness. We recently came across a video about one of Al's favorite basketball players, Kobe Bryant, and in it he talks about how it's important that you don't fear failure, and he also talks about his own Kobe Bryant mentality.
I think you mean the Mamba Mentality?
Yeah, we know you love him. Now it made us think. We already covered the importance of not fearing failure when you're working out, but what about the other fears that could hinder or prevent us achieving our fitness goals?
So we've decided to make this video covering our top 8 scariest fears in fitness.
Fear number 1 is the fear of failure. Now we've talked about this one before in a few other videos, including our top 10 ways to stay fitness disciplined video, so definitely check that one out. We discussed how the human mind can often trick us into giving up on our nutrition and fitness plans the minute we feel like we've failed or suffered a setback. This is a trap that a lot of us can fall into.
It's a trap!
And Kobe Bryant offers some insight into the problem of failure.
I'm not one that really believe in failure. I believe you have setbacks. And, you have to learn from those. You have to learn what are those landmines that can be avoided the next time. What are those pitfalls? And you have to learn from that stuff.
The whole point is that failure has to be part of the process. You'll never succeed at anything if you're not willing to fail and learn from those failures and come back stronger. And this perfectly parallels with working out. We often take our muscles to failure, but you don't see them getting all sad and down on themselves for failing. No, they build themselves up and come back stronger than ever. And so too should we. So let's learn from the Kobe Bryant mentality. No one becomes good at anything without having a high tolerance for and embracing failure, even the greats.
Listen, my first year in the league on national TV, at 18 years old, I shot 5 straight air balls in the playoffs in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
I think my tolerance is pretty high.
Fear number 2 is the fear of looking like Arnold. Now there's this perpetual fear of newbie lifters that once they start working out, they're gonna look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And granted, this is more a problem for women than it is men, because I don't think men would really mind. But this is a fear that we hear women complain a lot. And this fear that they will bulk up is preventing them from embracing real type of resistance training.
Hey, you guys ready to lift some weights?
What? Oh my god, no, we don't want to buff up. We don't want to look like Arnold. We still want to look like ladies.
These are 15s.
Now, as silly as it seems, some women still think like this. So we're going to dispel the myth right away. Firstly, physiological makeup and hormones are different between men and women. So even if you start lifting, ladies, you're not going to look like a man. Second, even with the hormones, men may not necessarily look like Arnold because genetics plays a role. And the third and often overlooked point is that in order to look like Arnold, it takes an extreme amount of dedication, time, consumption, and intensity, which is probably something that you won't be participating in. So you have nothing to fear to look like Arnold. And you also shouldn't fear adding lean muscle mass. Adding lean muscle isn't just healthy, but it also helps achieve a better body composition in the long run.
Third is the fear of others in the gym. Now this is a big one, and especially for those who've never ventured into that jungle we call the local gym, and it can be really daunting. There's often this perception that people are going to be looking at you and judging you, and maybe even laughing if you mess up. But this simply isn't true. Many of the people there have their own insecurities that they're dealing with, so they're not there to judge or mock. And this has become a very prevalent issue. In fact, one survey showed that 36% of men and an astounding 65% of women have avoided going to the gym out of a fear of being judged. And as for those few gym rats who have those perfectly sculpted bodies and those chiseled physiques...
You mean like me? Who?
No. Seriously, we get that those people can come across as intimidating, but honestly, sometimes they're the nicest people you're gonna find at the gym. They're often really enthusiastic and more than happy to help new lifters they see in the gym. And really, most of the time, they're really focused on their own training, so they're not noticing much else, let alone judging anyone. So let's not fear anyone else at the gym. We're all in there in the same boat, trying to accomplish the same goals, getting healthy and looking good.
The fourth fear we're gonna look at is the fear of hating your food. There's this myth out there that continues to be propagated about healthy nutrition. And that's this idea that if you start to form healthy dietary habits, you're gonna end up having to give up enjoying your food. But this is simply not true, and there's two versions of this myth. The first is the false assumption that eating healthy means some form of extreme deprivation.
Ready for a nice healthy meal? Here you go!
What the absolute... The second false assumption occurs when the idea of eating healthy conjures up these notions of disgusting foods or so-called health drinks that taste terrible.
Time to be healthy. What the absolute...
Both of these assumptions couldn't be further from the truth. Eating healthy doesn't mean ridiculously restrictive dieting, nor does it entail eating anything disgusting. In fact, Jeff Cavalier over at AthleanX, a channel that we here love to watch, often talks about how for any nutrition plan to be sustainable, it's gotta be something you'll enjoy. And he even recently made a video showcasing how he keeps his daily meals enjoyable for himself. And actually, a few weeks ago, we had a bit of fun with this video Jeff made and got into a little debate over it at the Fitness Under Fire channel. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. But the main point here is that proper nutrition still involves eating a lot of high quality and yes, enjoyable foods. No one needs to feel deprived. And Jeff is right, a good nutrition plan will still allow you some things you enjoy. I, for instance, eat popcorn fairly regularly.
And I enjoy pasta.
And I eat dark chocolate.
It's just about balance, moderation, and smart choices.
Fear number 5 is the fear of big weights. Now this affects almost every single new lifter. At the start of our fitness journeys, we struggle to understand how strong we can become, and so we fear lifting big weights. Now we're not saying that you should go out, do something foolish and hurt yourself. You should err on the side of caution, learn proper form, and gradually, progressively overload. However, a lot of the times we underestimate our true strength, especially when it comes to some lifts. For example, the different types of rowing. Now, if you're sticking to really light weights, 10 to 20% of your 1 rep max, then you're not going to make any progress. And unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid or reluctant to use their strength. They seem genuinely intimidated by big weights, and that's a real shame. Jeff Nippard recently made a video talking about the importance of taking sets to near failure. But for you to do that, you need to be lifting heavy enough so that you can even get close to failure. Now, it's often the case that it's those last few reps that count the most. So if you just finish 15 reps and you could do 15 more, then chances are you're not pushing your body hard enough in order for you to adapt and improve. But once you get comfortable with a lift and you're willing to work yourself up gradually, then we find most people are pleasantly surprised of how fast they can become stronger.
Okay, this next one up is the fear of not knowing what to do. So this is something that afflicts everyone when they first get into the gym. You get in that gym and you don't know what you're doing. And it can be overwhelming. The idea of walking in and seeing all sorts of different exercises being done by people, and then all sorts of different contraptions and machines, and having zero clue what you should do, it can be rather daunting. How do you safely perform certain exercises? How do you know how to use a machine? It can seem like a lot to learn right off the bat. And people can tend to get discouraged by this feeling. But this doesn't have to be you. Remember 2 things. First, we need to realize that not knowing is nothing to be embarrassed about. At some point, everyone started off in the gym not knowing what they're doing. And honestly, some people who have been there for years still don't really know what they're doing. And even the most experienced and knowledgeable lifters started out not having a clue. The second thing that we have to keep in mind is that information nowadays is readily available. Your best bet is to go in with a plan. If you have access to a professional, get them to help you out and be prepared to ask questions. But even if you don't have access to a personal trainer or a fitness professional, the best advice we can give you is start doing your own research. And you can go online. There's so many good sources, even here on YouTube, where you can go to learn about proper form, proper body mechanics, and how to construct a routine for yourself. A lot of these resources can be a real help. So start learning on your own and get ready to go into the gym each week and implement what you learned and put it into practice. Keep all of this in mind, and I guarantee you, as you build up that knowledge, you'll conquer this fear of not knowing what to do in no time.
Number 7 is the fear of what you'll look like in the gym. Body image issues are not new. They've been around a long time, what with having perfect lighting in movies and perfectly airbrushed models on the cover of magazines. But this issue's become really exacerbated lately now that we're always bombarded with Instagram models and perfectly chiseled YouTube fitness stars. And all this can give us a really distorted sense of how we're supposed to look. And it can make us feel really down on ourselves so that when we're in the gym, we're more concerned about how we look rather than actually working out. But we need to realize 2 things here. First, and we all know this, but it really needs to be repeated over and over again because it's hard to absorb, the images that we're seeing online are often not realistic or attainable. Those pictures are photoshopped. Or even if they're not, there are people who are on the juice. Or even if they're not on the juice, they're people whose whole lives revolve around fitness, which is not the norm for 99% of us, so we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to them. Second, we really shouldn't be comparing our bodies to anyone else, regardless of who they are. Bodybuilding.com recently had an article on this. In it, the author states, if you want to feel good about your body by comparing yourself to others, go to McDonald's. While at the gym, simply stay focused on your own personal improvement and goals. I would often look at the huge guys at the gym and think that my gains are nothing compared to theirs. I realize that their level is irrelevant to my own personal development, and thinking about it would only slow me down. And this likely rings true for a lot of us. So don't worry about how you look compared to others. Worry about the work you're putting in and how it's helping you reach your goals.
Okay, this last one up is the fear of change. Now this can incorporate a lot of different things, and to be honest, we won't be able to do justice to this topic in just a couple minutes here. Many of us have habits that we really need to change in order to improve on our health and fitness. And a lot of this can be tied to emotional issues, depression, anxiety, and just general coping mechanisms that we use to help deal with day-to-day life. So the idea of a lifestyle change can make anyone nervous. If you're a smoker, for instance, then kicking the addiction can come with all sorts of concerns over how difficult it'll be or how you're going to feel both physically and emotionally without cigarettes. If you have an unhealthy relationship with food, maybe you're an emotional eater or you binge eat, trying to let go of that is going to come with having to deal with some psychological demons. It can be a tough balancing act that we do as humans. On the one hand, we use all kinds of unhealthy habits as coping mechanisms to help us get through the day. But these things that we're using to help us are also slowly killing us. Breaking that pattern of reliance that we have on such things won't be easy. For some of us, it may require counseling, and for others, it may require developing a better sense of self-awareness. But we have to be honest with ourselves. If you are in one of those positions where such changes need to be made, putting them off continuously and avoiding that emotionally tough, tumultuous work is only going to delay the problem and make it more difficult down the road. So start developing better habits as soon as you can, and years from now, look back at those moments in life where you struggled as your own personal Mount Everest. Some large obstacle that was in your way, but that you conquered. So there you have our list, our top 8 scariest fears when starting out in fitness.
So we'd love to hear what you have to say about these and whether there are any other fears that you think we missed. Let us know in the comments below.
That's right, and this video is part of a playlist where we cover other lists, such as the top 10 underrated YouTube stars, or the top 10 exercises that you should stop being embarrassed over, or top 10 ways to stay self-disciplined. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.